So speaking of tips, like what will be like 3 tips for writers who are just read your work, inspired by kind of this genre? What will be your 3 tips to them, in terms of getting their work out there, or at least writing in their own voice, right? What will be your 3 tips?
I guess the first one would be to find a writing group. That's really important. Like, I have the most incredible writers group here called the Singapore Writers Group. And like when I joined, I think they'd been around for about a year, and it lasted about 7 years. And I think there were about 40 people, and there was 300 by the end. It was amazing. And it was run by someone called Alice Clark Platts, who's also a writer. And she split it off into genres because it just got so big, and we would all meet up once a month. But even when it started off smaller, you would print out no more than 3,000 pages of your own work, because obviously everyone's trying to get feedback.
Words. Yes.
3,000 words. But you always got you would get at the end, everyone would you'd read your work out loud for everyone, and people would give their feedback. You would take your notes, and they were writing their notes in the margin, and you'd collect 30 copies of your work with all this feedback, and you would clearly understand what was working and what wasn't working. And then it, like I said, it snowballed into and divided into genre. But I would say, even if you have to pay to join a group, because in some cities, like there was a group that I joined briefly in London before I moved, you did have to pay, but that was worth it as well. Or if you have to start your own group, meeting up with other people who are taking this seriously. They can start off as a hobby. And then even within my writers group, there was a subgroup of people who had completed their manuscripts and were willing to commit to reading each other's full manuscripts and giving feedback. Wonderful. That was amazing. And then you needed, a couple of months per manuscript. So we had like a rotation. But and then when you start seeing other people in the group getting published, you can talk to each other and get advice. And it's like, it's really possible. That would be my biggest tip. It's like, just get a group of 3, 4, 5, or join another group, sign up on Meetup, whatever it is, and join a group. So that'll be the first one. The second one, I think, would be to read different genres. I think that's really important. Like, even if you've read this and you think, oh, this is, because also you need to know, what is this genre, right? What is the genre I'm writing in? You may think you're writing in one genre and you're actually writing another, or maybe you're crossing.
Yes.
So that comment I made before about like my friend reading my book and me thinking I had to like literary, it's because I read a lot of literary fiction. Yeah. Growing up in England, I read a lot of Booker Prize nominees and the Orange Prize, and that's what I thought it had to be, I also read about these amazing writers who were like at 18 or 21, were getting all these deals, and I was like, and they're always Nigerian as well.
That's okay. Yes.
And I was like, I'm not doing that. It's just not happening. And then I realized, no, I'm not literary. That's not what's coming out. I may have a respect and love for prose and the craft, but that isn't, like, I'm not going to write a book that's 5 chapters, we're all in the same room, or focusing on this mug, and
exactly.
It's just I want characters, and I want some drama, and I want plot, and I want those things. So reading widely, it also helps with, as being a teacher, is that I had to teach many different types of forms. But I would say, like, read speculative fiction, read thrillers, read crime, read, because you may also realize that, like, not only are you enjoying those genres, but like, you're like, that has this type of readership, or this book has done really well because it's combined 2 genres. I've not seen that before, whatever it may be. So I would say read across different genres, whether it's contemporary or sort of, older stuff that's been published a while back. And then the third one would be, don't be afraid to work backwards. Like, do your research on the publishing industry and figure out, as you're doing all your writing and your reading and all of that, and figure out, like, what is it that you want? Because they do say comparison is a thief of joy. You can always look at what other people have, but what is it that you really want, right?
Exactly.
And I had to get to the point where I was like, you know what? I don't need to win any literary prizes. I'll be fine. That's not what I dream about, but I had a vision in my mind of a Black woman in an armchair curled up reading my book. That was like, if I could create that for someone, like, you escape somewhere, and when you're done with the book and you finish, you toss it and you move on with your life, that's fine, like, you move on. It's a privilege that someone picked up my book in the first place, and that you stayed with it, so I was very clear that I want to get it into the hands of Black women. I would love other people to read it too, that are interested in travel or this or that, but that's not my priority. And, you know, I would love for it to make its way onto the screen. All of that's great, but ultimately it's like just being very clear. So who do I need to work with? Who is the type of agent I need? I realized I needed an editorial agent. So I needed someone who would take their time and give me notes and kind of, and I had great meetings with incredible agents who I was like, yeah, I'll be, and I know this as an actor, I'll be like on your hierarchy of importance, I'll be there. I'll be right at the bottom. I work with your assistant more than I work with you. That's the reality. Like, you'll sell the book like mad, but I'll always be insecure. I'll always be nervous. Will I be cut? Will I be? And I needed someone, and I needed an agency that I knew would think the way I think, or at least would take me on. And I found a great agent and a great agency. And then they are working with you to find out who is the right publisher for you.
Yes.
So YouTube is amazing. Get onto YouTube. So much great material on YouTube. I thank some of the YouTubers in my book as well, because they democratized the whole industry for me.
Yes.
So read the books, watch the videos, listen to the podcast, like just delve into it when you're ready, obviously, and figure out from working backwards, like who is it that's going to help me achieve what it is that I want.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic, fantastic advice. And, you know, just even going back to the second tip, writing the book you really, really want to write. Because I think that's a lot of writers feel like they need to write a certain way because they are looking at other authors that have gone the same route. But the book you're meant to write is going to come out in the form it wants to come out. Let it do that. The road might be more difficult. I always say this because, like with my own book, the road was difficult to publication, but because that was how the book wanted to come out, right? And I'm so grateful I honored that. And I'm so grateful you honored that with this book. Is just let it come out the way it naturally wants to come out and not take it a direction just because of accolades or just because of, you know, I'll be taken more seriously as a African writer in the diaspora, blah, blah, blah. No, I know what I know.